Hello, friends, and welcome back to Orbit Shift, a place where I work with you to take your thoughts, feelings, and actions to the next level of impact. Now, why have we become so defensive? There was a time when conversations used to be a bridge, they used to connect us, we used to tell stories, exchange words, deliberate, come to a conclusion. Today, and more often than not, it's become a battlefield. Every conversation tends to head towards a battlefield. We are becoming a society that is unhealed and unhealthy in itself. A society begins to heal, people begin to heal and be healthy, not when everyone agrees, but we become healed and we become healthy when we can disagree, but we can discuss without becoming enemies. We become healed and healthy when every time I listen, I say that even when my ego is uncomfortable, I will stay in this conversation. Now, think about what happens around us these days families, with children, at the workplace, with friend circles, in open society out there. Someone says, can we talk? Or says, we need to talk, or says, we should talk about this. Immediately, our body becomes tight. It's almost as if we are getting into a fight or flight at just the mention of that talk. We need to talk. And you're like tense. Someone gives us feedback and they're like, my God, why are they even telling me this? Do they even know my condition? In our mind, that feedback is becoming an insult. And you say, I worked so hard at this, etc., etc. Various reasons. Why is this person then giving me feedback? Someone disagrees with us. We take that as an attack. It's almost as if this person is trying to displace me and take the importance in life or trying to disrespect me. And it's happening almost everywhere. Someone asks us a very simple question, whether at home or somewhere outside or at the workplace. And to us, it sounds like an interrogation, and then we respond with that. And do we want to, if we want to submit to that interrogation, then the whole conversation takes a different turn. And if you think that interrogation is a offense against you, then you respond accordingly. What is this? Slowly, without noticing, we have become a society. We have become people who are always ready to defend, but rarely ready to understand. We've forgotten that conversations were possibly never about agreement. They were about understanding each other. The defensiveness is also not always loud. We don't always argue. Sometimes, yes, we argue. Sometimes we interrupt. Sometimes it also gets converted into a lecture, the whole defensiveness. But many times it's far, far more hidden. Look at that husband who would say, I am listening, but is possibly looking away and doing something else. Or think about that wife who becomes silent, not because she's peaceful, but because she's just emotionally withdrawn. Or look at that child who says, fine, I will do it, but possibly has already decided that I'm not going to share anything with my parents. Or look at that employee who nods in the meeting and says, yes, I will do it. I will try. And that's a word that we tend to get used, hear a lot in the corporates. I will try. But the employee is completely phased out and goes and does something half-hearted and then come back and say, I tried. I put in the efforts, but result did not come. Or look at that leader who says, be open, but every time somebody gives an open, honest point of view, he or she punishes that honest voice very hard. This, my friends, is not a communication problem. This, my friends, is a human deterioration problem. It is a societal problem. And let us be fair, not everything is this bad, but it's just that the bad is drowning the good now. There are still homes today where people apologize, thank, and love sincerely. There are workplaces where feedbacks, opinions, discussions, whiteboarding, they are all done with a lot of dignity. There are friendships today where disagreement does not destroy affection. In fact, there are friends who are so close that despite every time they talk in insults. The other person understands that that insult is not an insult, but it's just love and care. There are leaders who will listen, parents who will reflect, children who will speak honestly and openly, and couples who would sit across the table and choose to repair what is broken instead of going away. So there is good. There is good. So the good has not disappeared. But the problem is that the bad has become louder, faster, and more volatile, and much, much more than normal, what it should be. If you look at statistics out there, road rage is on the increase. Divorces are much higher, and the emotional volatility reasons for divorces are high. There are so many murders happening amongst couples. Look at workplaces. Gallup 2026 report said that only about, and this is possibly only about 20% of employees were engaged in the workplaces worldwide. Now, of these 20%, think about how many of those point of views were not even genuine, and they were given by employees just to avoid trouble. The real proportion will be much lower. So that's the state of the modern world, the modern society, the modern marriage, the modern workplace, etc. In fact, in our workplaces, many employees are complaining about the fact that they are disturbed every 2 minutes by a meeting or an email or a notification, or a manager or a peer possibly following up too hard and harsh, or a client screaming and yelling. I remember Pew Research and reading this, and if my mind goes correctly on this one, some 34% of Americans have seen rude behavior in public. Now, these could be their work colleagues or in general in public. And then another 46% have said that they have witnessed rude behavior. 36% often doing rude behavior in the public, and another 46% who see it every now and then. Connect those dots. What's really happening? People are tired, people are distracted, people are lonely, people are overworked, people are judged online. They say something very simple and then it boils into a huge controversy. They're compared constantly. There are many against one. There are people who are politicizing, and then there are people who are ganging up against others. There is enough emotional lack of safety as it is out there. And as a result, what happens is someone doesn't want to listen, and then someone who possibly would have wanted to listen because of all this causticity again chooses not to listen. People are protecting themselves. Defensiveness, my friends, is self-protection that has forgotten the wisdom of conversational skills, of negotiation, of influence. I'll repeat myself. Defensiveness is self-protection that has forgotten wisdom, forgotten negotiation and other communication skills like influence. At home, often defensive looks like what? Why are you blaming me? I do everything for you. I always do these things. You don't do the same things for me. Now you will teach me. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk anything about your family. At workplace, look at defensiveness. Let me clarify. That was not the intention. Oh, I am so sorry. It's got conveyed in very different way. We've already considered that. That doesn't work here. How did you even consider that we could put money into something like that? You may not have the full context. Let us take this offline. There are so many of these. Many of these things are genuine responses, but that's very few. But often these things have become a big armor. The problem is not that people explain themselves. The problem is that people explain before they have even understood what the other side is saying. And this is where civility actually begins to die. This is where listening dies. This is where respect dies. This is where performance dies. We use polite words, especially at the workplace. We use too many polite words, but the mind has become very, very prominent, violent. We smile, but we dismiss things. We nod, but we judge. We hear, but we do not receive. We respond, but we all dump that stuff away. And this has a direct impact on homes and workplace, this whole behavior, because what you do at work often gets extended to home, and what happens at home extends to work. In home, defensiveness is completely killing emotional safety, and at the workplace, emotional defensiveness is killing learning, feedback, and fostering a whole host of politics. And there's another very important point to remember. Many people today think that to survive in this world where others have very strong opinions, they need to be defensive. And they have invented a word for that. And in fact, even coaches, counselors at times teach this word. It's called pushback. Unfortunately, this pushback and this taking a stand has become so prominent that defensive people often think that they are strong just because they are able to push back and guard their rights. Actually, it's just the other way around. Because they are pushing back all the time, they're just not willing to listen, and they have become such weaklings. Their ego is fragile, their thinking is fragile, their response system is fragile, their conversation skills are fragile. All in all, their fragility is coming in front because of their constant pushbacks. They're not ready to listen. Strength, my friends, ego strength, character strength is the ability to hear something uncomfortable without collapsing, attacking, escaping, or resorting to defensiveness or manipulation. That, my friends, is strength. Defensiveness says, I must win this argument. Maturity says, I must understand what is true in this moment. This, my friends, is the context of defensiveness that we need to understand and what we and this society needs to heal from. With that context established, I want to today also leave with you 5 simple things that you can start practicing now, and I'll give you a 30-day challenge. Do this for the next 30 days and you'll see that your life is significantly different and people around you are responding far more differently to you. Your character, your personality will become much more polished. The first of these is the 5-second pause. Now, what do you do in these 5 seconds? When a conversation is happening, a feedback comes to you, or somebody is saying something, choose for 5 seconds not to choose what to say to the other person, but to choose what you are hearing or listening in the head. Many times, what the person says is not what you're hearing. What we hear is what is inside our head. So you have to learn to select. So use the pause wisely. Now, this pause principle has been spoken by a lot of people, but what do you do when you pause? When you pause, you sort out your head about what is your head influencing you to listen instead of what the other person is saying. Remember, there was a research very recently that got spoken about a lot where it said all emotions just have a 90-second chemical life. After that, it's our thoughts which take that emotion forward. So many times with our negative emotion, it's not the situation that is creating the negative emotion, but our own thought. So select. In these 5 seconds, ask yourselves that, am I really hearing or listening to the other person, or is my own emotional reflex coming out in this? Many people have a tendency to fight. So you may want to judge, argue, push back, etc. That's a fight syndrome. That may be your default reaction. So no matter what the other person is saying, even if it was the most useful thing, you're getting into a fight mode. Many people want to flight. In that moment, they want to be left alone. They don't want to be given all that feedback, all the correction. They want to come back when they come back at their comfort. They want their sort of creative freedom or freedom to express themselves, which has become the fashion now. I want to express my fashion the way I like. I want to express myself the way I like to express it. So we hide behind these kind of things. So whether it's your fight, it's your flight, whichever is your tendency, it's your anger, it's your fear, it's your anxiety, it's your sorrow, it's your shame, whatever is your default pattern, detect that and choose a healthier, positive response. Most damage in any work or home relationship happens in the first 5 to 10 seconds when we feel threatened. If you can select your thoughts, it'll help. So start this. Choose the positive thoughts to stay in the conversation and see what can you learn. Like I said, I must understand what is true in this moment and this respond only to that. The second thing that you must do, and this is the second and it's a very good strategy. When we are saying something like you are wrong, you are blaming me, etc., 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 say something like, tell me what you experienced. Tell me how this came across to you. Tell me what is it that you would really wanted to have in this situation and you did not get, which made you say what you say. So ask a deep clarifying question, letting the other person describe what they experienced. If there is validity in that experience, then this can really help. This can especially help you at home or when you get into arguments. Instead of being defensive, invite the other person to speak a little bit more. Third, when you listen to somebody, what do? When you listen to them, listen to not just their words, but to their wound, their experience, their hurt, their deficiency, where they felt deceived or where they felt manipulated or some of those things. Because when you have conversation, then if it's a negative conversation, the other side possibly has had some experience. So don't act immature and exaggerate things in your head. Be mature enough and listen to what the other person's real experience is. A mature mind hears the other person's fear, pain, discomfort, sorrow, etc., etc. Do not argue with the grammatical presentation. Oh, you are saying it like this and you always demonize me. Don't get into that. Hear what possibly, and sometimes, yes, when the other person is hurt, they will exaggerate. So instead of listening to the exaggeration in words, listen to their true hurt. Fourth, separate whatever the other person is saying from your own identity. Your whole life, your whole personality is much larger. Your achievements are much larger. Your qualifications are much larger. Your skills are much larger. Separate that from your identity. No, separate that from your feedback. So your identity, who you are sufficient, is there. Now, also what you need to understand is, does your personality have deficiencies? Does your skill have deficiencies? Does your character have deficiencies? Does your behavior have deficiencies? Yes, you will have. So if you are getting feedback about something that is already deficient, then your approach should be to connect that feedback to an opportunity of growth that you have. That's something that you need to do. So when you hear something, separate it from your positive identity and be very rest assured that yes, there is something good that you have done in your life, etc. But yes, there is an opportunity of improvement that you have, and connect the feedback to that opportunity of improvement. It will be much easier for you to stop your defensiveness if you already know that something that the other person is saying has some truth in it. And maybe that truth is also because your negatives are outshadowing your positives. People are not able to experience your positives. Like if you're a great thinker, but you write very badly, you speak very badly, or you're not able to be clear in what you say or speak, or you're aggressive, then being a thinker or a strategist doesn't really make sense, because when you open your mouth, you're being caustic, you're judgmental, you are troubling the other person. You may be caring, but if your care is getting expressed in negative words, the other person doesn't experience this, right? So when you hear others, first separate the feedback from your identity, your positive, firm, clear identity, your skills, your behaviors, and then connect that feedback into what is your opportunity of improvement. This will significantly help you. The fifth one I want to leave with you is, use the mirror rule before disagreeing with someone, especially at work. First, repeat that point of view in a way that you can look at the fairness of this. And this is an extension of what I said earlier, where separate it out from the positive identity and look at the negative identity. In your mind, repeat out and say, what could be fair? Learn in your conversation to apply the mirror rule and to acknowledge and thank the other person. Remember, this is not just about your listening. So while in the 5 steps that I have said, where the first one, pause, is a very internal thing. The second one is, you are asking the other person. It's an exchange process. The third one, where I have said, listen for the other person's wound. This is also a very internal process. The fourth one, when you are separating the feedback from your positive identity and looking for the opportunity of development. The fifth one is where you will really choose to connect back with that person and carry on the conversation. Mirror in your head what could be absolutely fair with what the other person is saying, and then after that, share with the other person your acknowledgement, how you summarize what they have said, play back to them, and mirror the person's feedback in your own words with an acknowledgement. That is possibly the starting of a very good conversation with the other person. Once you have done this, stop idolizing yourself. Many times, like I said, we have invented this whole word of pushback. I very successfully pushed back. Why do you need to do that? I defended my position. I stood up for myself. Many times we don't even need to do this. Many times we really need to have a good, great conversation, because we'll realize that neither we are right nor the other person is right. Possibly truth is something totally different. Let us discover that instead of defending ourselves and trying to prove the other person wrong. So stop rewarding your defensive, dramatic hero behavior of defensiveness, and be more realistic in what you do. Surrender to the truth, surrender to the challenges. If performance is really not happening at the workplace, then correct that instead of making it about you. If other people are feeling dealt with negatively, correct your behavior with them, improve your collaboration instead of trying to be intelligently dispositive of what their rewards, etc. are, all that. So all in all, this will help you significantly in conversations. The last thing that I want to leave with you is a more of a structure of habits of your day-to-day civility and day-to-day civil rituals of life. Give yourself some time and attention. Have one meal without your phone. Have one meeting without interrupting at all. Just listen. Give one apology or one genuine appreciation without really justifying anything in that. Give one feedback without really any humiliating word in that, with just general softness, and leave it for the other person to accept. Have one family conversation without the goal of victory or building any story or any influence in the family. Keep things simple. However, this is not going to be easy. The 7 things that I shared, this is something that will have to get embedded into your everyday life, because look, the modern ego has become very fragile. It wants freedom without correction, respect without responsibility. It wants love without really listening. But neither in our homes, nor in our work, nor in outside society, we can survive like this. A defensive person is continuously protecting their ego. A mature person will protect the relationships, the truth, and the future. For a mature person, the other person is as important as they themselves are. So next time you're in a conversation, don't ask the question, how do I answer? Next time you're in a conversation, say, what is life trying to teach me in this position? Because remember what I said at the beginning, a society will begin to heal and to be healthy, not when everybody agrees, but it will start being healthy and start to heal when people can disagree and discuss things without really becoming each other's enemies. That's the first sign of people and a society becoming really, really mature. Can I listen even when my ego is uncomfortable? That's something that I will invite you to look at and practice in your everyday life, along with the 7 things that I shared with you. Hope this has been useful for you. I will see you very soon. Till then, take care and practice some of these things, and let all contribute positively to the civility of life around us. Thank you.